On the third day, God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees that bear fruit, according to their various kinds." And it was so. And God saw that it was good.
Welcome to this episode of On the Third Day. We have with us Daniel D'Souza, who is a common face among people who love bonsai. He'll be telling us a little bit about bonsai, the basics, how you go about it. Daniel also is an expert landscaper, does quite a few gardens, and assists the CCP in maintaining the public gardens here in Panjim. He's very good also in arranging flowers and has done demonstrations quite a few places. Plants are his passion. Plants are his babies. If you want to steal a plant from Daniel, make sure that you are very careful because he will come back looking for you. So, welcome on the show, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
What actually excited you to get into plants in the first place?
Honestly, I was very passionate from the plants from the age of 4. I remember setting out to do my own garden as a little kid. I remember planting a little sapling in a pot, and every week I would pull it out. Every Sunday I would pull it out to see how much, to check how much the roots grew. Okay. So then again I would plant it back, and whereas mom remained a very silent spectator. So this happened for maybe around 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, my plant died. And I was quite shocked when my plant died. But mom never said a thing. Then there are a couple more examples, like where I would take my Christmas tree for a bath every day, put my Christmas tree to sleep. And then the third one also was a cactus. When I said, if we require so much water every day, how come a xerophyte like a cactus can survive with water just once a week? So I said, I'll break this myth. I'll water my cactus every day. So these are few examples that were basically my backbone towards my love for plants.
So that started off in your childhood?
At the age of 4. And mom said at the age of 4.
Okay.
And so I always knew I wanted to do something with plants. But honestly, my dad wanted me to become a civil engineer. Forcefully, he took me to Father Agnell's college, got me admission. It's not a good thing to say, but I bunked college for 1 month. And then honestly, I had to tell mom, I said, I'm not going to college and I don't want to do engineering because I really don't want building. I don't want to build buildings that don't grow or whatever. And mom wanted me to become a dentist. So I said, I'm not going to put fingers in people's mouths.
Okay. So that's how you ended up in Dempe College doing botany.
So that's the reason I told later on I told my dad and all, I said, no, I don't want to do anything with plants. So that's the reason later on I managed to do my 11th, 12th in Pilar, then shift on to the Dempe College for first year. And I went on to do my SY onwards, SY BSc from the Bombay University.
Bombay University, okay. And was it in Bombay that you got to first brush with the bonsai?
Yes, I had seen the bonsais first. My dad had gifted me a book on Jyoti Nikunj Parikh. It was a nice episode. He told me that in those years, it was only Doordarshan. So he said he watched this program of a couple that grew trees over rocks and in very shallow containers giving fruits and all. So I found it very fascinating. I told dad, tell me more. So whatever he registered, he told me. And then dad used to serve in Bombay. So when he came back, he made sure that he bought me the first basic book on bonsai of Jyoti Nikunj Parikh. And believe me, I was on cloud 9. For 1 week, no other book, nothing could take my attention away. And I kept on looking, but I don't do any reading as a person. I don't read any pictures because I always feel that it's going to influence my thought process while designing a garden. So I must be having close to around 700 books in my personal collection. But I'm a very pictorial guy. I might just read 1 or 2 lines per page, that's it. Otherwise, I'm very pictorial and I allow my own mind to take over or to interpret that and do into my part of landscaping or bonsais.
Okay.
So that's the way I, as a person, I look after my books, whatever.
So the Wonderful World of Tropical Bonsai by Jyoti and Nikunj Parikh was my
first book, yeah. And I give my credit to my dad because I think the seeds of bonsais were sown by my dad today.
Okay. And then you went for some exhibitions in
Bombay? No. Then I was my second year BSc in Andheri. I was in Bhavan's college and I got in touch with Jyoti Nikunj Parikh and they had classes every Saturday, bonsai classes. So during every Saturday as a botany student, we had our practicals. So I walked up to the HOD and I told her, I said, ma'am, every Saturday you have to grant me permission. I have to go to Grant Road for my bonsai classes. She said, no, you're not going to do these classes. You're going to do your practicals. In my mind, I said, ma'am, you like it or don't like it, you won't find me over there. So, and I was new at the Bombay University. I was new to the college. But then after 2 classes, she saw me that I was not coming for every Saturday. It was for 6 Saturdays. So I said, I'm not coming. And I told her, I'm not bunking, but I'm seriously going for these bonsai classes. So after 2-3 classes, she understood my passion for the bonsais. And then it was a cakewalk for me. Till TY, it was a cakewalk. When I wanted to go for exhibitions and all, they would grant me permission because they knew I was very passionate about plants.
Okay, that is very nice to hear. And how does really bonsai differ from other types of gardening, growing plants in pots?
The main rule is for bonsai is, I think, is patience. It's like you put a house plant, you grow a house plant in 6 months or 5 months, you can see the results. Whereas bonsais, it's an ever-ending story. I think, according to me, that's the only art form which is never complete, and it's the only, I think, art form which is a living art form. Like, because you're dealing with live material. As a paintist or an artist or a sculpture, whatever, you do your work and your work is over. Whereas bonsai, your work is never over. Even if your plant is totally in shape, maintenance, pruning, wiring, watering. So it's an ongoing process. It's basically, I think it's a marriage between a plant and you. When you're a serious bonsai artist, because you can never, and they become your babies. Out of the marriage, they become your babies.
And it is a very serious marriage, I think so.
It's a serious marriage because 2 days or 3 days of neglect or watering, you can lose 10 to 15 years of your work.
Yeah. So it's like having a very demanding wife. Okay. So you are doing quite a few bonsai at home.
Yes.
How do you make the time?
Actually, it's like for me right now, it's a de-stressor with landscaping, and so much of the clients are so demanding. Unlike landscaping a few years back where clients were okay, but today clients get into the smallest things. So sometimes landscaping becomes very stressful, although I enjoy it very much and all. So when I get stressed out, I just go to my babies and then I just pick them up, I touch them and all, and automatically I sort of, it's unwind. So it's a de-stressor for me. Okay. So I spend maybe around 1.5 hours in the morning. And the evening post lunch, I don't go to work. So from 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you'll find me with my coffee mug with my babies.
Okay. Yeah. So that's how your bonsais look good. They get a lot of attention.
Thank you.
Yes. What are the basics that you look at, starting from the pot to the other materials? What are the basics you look at?
The basic material for bonsai, there are first 4-5 criteria. The very first thing, you have to choose a plant which has got long life. Because, bonsai is a art form that goes over centuries.
So basically it has to be a tree.
It has to be a tree. Yeah, it has to be a tree. Secondly, it should have small foliage. Because, the bonsai is in a small pot. So the leaves have to be proportionate. Third, it should withstand wiring and pruning. It's like the Japanese art is a more refined art. Whereas suppose you wanted to bring a branch down, the Chinese would tie a stone and pull the branch down. Now the Japanese have come out with the wires. They have come out with this sort of wires where you can basically wire your tree. So this gives you the shape. So the plant should withstand wiring and pruning. Then should have good rootage system. Should have good rootage system. So these are the 4-5 criteria of
the plant.
For the plant, yeah.
Yes.
And then keeping these 5 criteria in mind, then you choose your plant.
Yeah. So bonsai is an art that you grow in very shallow trays or shallow pots.
Yeah, it comes out from 2 Japanese words. Bon meaning a shallow container and sai meaning tree. So a plant in a shallow container makes up the word bonsai.
Okay. So any shallow container will do? Or
yes. I mean, once it's a refined plant, then we go for a proper bonsai pot. But as long as it's a training phase, you can go in for any shallow pot. Even I tell my students, you can go for a terracotta one, no issue. But when you're going in for a bonsai exhibition, you're going for a good display, it has to be proper trimmed, in a proper, it has to fit in the criteria.
Yeah. When we are growing plants in pots, we see that it has one drainage hole at the side.
Same with bonsai. In bonsai, essentially, we see 2 drainage holes because we have to tie the plant, because it's a plant, so it's in a small pot. It does not have too much of mud. So usually we see the 2 vents. So later on, I will demonstrate the 2 vents, how you take the wires from the lower side and then you just grip it for a period of 3 to 4 months till the plant settles down, and then you unwind it and you can pull the wire down once the plant
is... So you use the drainage hole also to insert the wire inside?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's good. And any particular types of plants that you choose, any species?
In India and in Goa, we are blessed with lovely bougainvillea plants for very cheap, ficus plants, So basically, people living in the India, we are very fortunate compared to rest of the countries because we have got so many varieties of ficuses, like the banyan tree, the peepal tree, ficus christian, so many varieties. And the bougainvilleas, you know how they flourish in Goa. They just do well in Goa and I think across the country. So I always say pick up indigenous material because I'm a very local guy. So I also tell my students pick up local stuff. Don't go in for exotics because it's much easier to look after the plants already established in Goa and it will be much easier and lighter on you.
Okay. So ficus plants, whether it's the banyan wood, what we call, or the pipad, or the rumored.
They make the best bonsais and for a very decent price, you can get it at the nursery within 100-150 rupees.
And also I think there are plants which are very difficult to kill.
Very difficult to kill, yes. And the beauty of these plants is that throughout the aerial roots, so it really creates an illusion of a big tree sitting into a small pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any one of these ficus would be a beginner's delight to start bonsai.
Exactly, exactly. Yes.
You can prune it, you can cut it, you can shape it.
And it's very simple for ficuses. It's something called clip and grow. Is that you cut the branch, it grows, you clip. So in ficuses, the clip and grow method is the easiest. You don't have to have the technique. You can do it without wire also. So the clip and grow technique is if you want to do it like you cut the branch, it sprouts, again you cut the branch. So clip, grow method, you don't even require the bonsai wires.
So for cutting of branches, what kind of tools do you use? Normal seccator or something special is there?
See, basically in bonsais, as you reach a little advanced stage, you require like some little professional tools. So this is basically a concave cutter. So what happens with a concave cutter, when you have to cut a branch, it goes into the flesh or into the stem and does not leave a very ugly stub. So this is a concave cutter. So I would say this is a must in anybody who's doing a little good bonsais and more refined art. This cutter is a must. It's the most essential cutter. It's called as a concave cutter because it does not leave any scars. Then rest,
this concave cutter is not easily available.
It's not easily available and it's a little pricey. So always look after you finish your doing your work. Always make sure you clean it, wash it, and dry it properly before it goes back into your bonsai kit. Then this is your next. There are different scissors. There are 10, 12 different grades of scissors. Like for this particular plant which is behind me, we use a finer scissors. Then you can always go in for other scissors. This I use this is actually a floral scissors, which is a Japanese floral scissors, which also comes in use for bonsais. But for beginners, I always say you just use a normal falcon scissors. It helps. Normal falcon scissors. And as you progress, you feel your collection is increasing, then you can buy one by one. And these scissors actually, honestly, overseas are very easily available in any garden store. But here we find it a little problem. Maybe the closest is would be in Bombay. But otherwise, I would say just go in for a normal garden scissors to start off with.
Okay. So starting off with ficus plants and normal seccator, you can really progress in doing a bonsai and then give it the finishing touches using the concave.
Exactly. Yeah.
So could we show to our viewers how actually we would wire through a pot?
Yeah, sure.
And basically also how the pot looks like, the drainage and the holes and all those things.
So this is a proper professional bonsai pot. Always remember when you do a bonsai pot, always choose very subtle colors or very neutral colors, because usually what happens if you put a very colorful pot, maybe a very fluorescent color or red, and when you go for a bonsai exhibition, everybody's saying, oh, what a beautiful pot. So what happens is your emphasis on the
plant goes off
and it goes on your pot. So always it's essential that you have very neutral colors. Neutral colors and no fancy designs. Very simple. If you just want a little like a sort of a little for fluted legs or whatever, keep it very simple. Remember, the pot is glazed from the outside and inside is very rough. So inside has to be rough because it gets more grip. Okay. So this is a normal standard side bonsai pot for maybe I would say entire height of a plant would be around close to a foot. So this pot would go up to here. So depending on the size of your tree, you have to choose the pot. So this is your standard bonsai pot with 2 vents. Okay. So this also helps in your drainage. So what we basically do over here is, so since the bonsai mixture is of very good quality, we don't lose out on any precious soil. So this is your simple net lawn.
Net lawn that you use for the windows.
What you use for your windows. So what you basically do, you're going to place your net lawn. You're going to place a net lawn onto the vents of it. So remember that no soil will escape. Okay. So you can use even old tone net lawn can be used, whatever. And then you have your wire, which is going to hold the net lawn in place. So this is your normal bonsai wire. So you depending on the the plant you're going to choose, or how big the plant is, you're going to cut the wire accordingly. Remember, your bonsai wires are not your electrical wires. There is a very major misconception that, use those wires. Now, those wires the electrical wires get heated up. Whereas these are wires which are, if you put them in the sun, these wires don't get heated up. Okay. These wires, you basically get them in Bombay at, they're more like, some of them are even chromed in color. So these wires don't get heated up. Otherwise, what happens, the heat will get transferred to your plant.
There'll be a burn mark.
You get the scar mark, okay? So this is the way you're going to put in your wires, okay,
and
for your pot.
That will hold the plant down.
That way is going to hold the plant down. Then you just gently, push in your netlon. So your netlon also remains firm in place. And remember something, whenever you transplant your bonsais and all that, always recycle, because there's so much of plastic in the environment. I always tell, even if you see today, I bought in recycled netlon pieces. Don't go in for brand new pieces because nothing happens to this plastic. So you can use it for 10, 15, 20, 30 times. There's absolutely no problem. So I always believe in using less of plastic. And we are responsible for all the plastic around. Also on my landscaping front, you know how much plastic you use, poly bags.
Yeah.
So my gardeners have been given strict instructions, whichever plant, poly bags can be saved. Sometimes per site, I take home nothing less than 2,000 to 3,000 plastic bags. Because eventually, for reuse, for a simple reason, because you're not going to throw it. Because if finally you finish a project, you have to discard it somewhere. If the gardener cuts it off badly. So, so the thing lies with us to train our gardeners how to save a plastic bag. Unless it's very difficult and the plant is at stake, only then we cut the plastic bags. So at home, I must be having honestly around 10,000 plastic bags. And it's my appeal to all landscape designers in Goa, please recycle. It's not a question of taking plastic home. It's I think Goa, we are overloaded with plastic, and we as landscape designers also are responsible on our front to keep Goa clean, because the amount of plastic, each and every plant we use is coming in a plastic bag. So please save these plastic bags. Just train your gardeners. It's a question of 2 or 3 times sitting with them and showing them. And I honestly believe me, once they are trained to save these plastic bags, they will do it. Yes. They will do it.
Yeah, and that will be a major contribution.
Contribution. If you see, all of us have to contribute to keep Goa clean. It is not only the people are selling vegetables. So we as landscape designers also are responsible for the kachra what we are removing. So on our front, we also have to. So this is the basic way what you would have done. Whatever. Rest is then you
have basically made this into a U pattern shape on the behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Behind is holding the pot together. Then next, what you have to do is you put your gravel over here. You place your gravel. Then you're going to place your earth over here. And once you place your earth, the first layer, then you're going to insert your tree. Once you insert your tree, you are going to tie it
down. Okay.
Tie it down. Tie the whole thing down, and you're going to push it into the soil. Then back again, you're going to put your top layer of soil. And then these days, we have lovely green moss in Goa. And then we're going to put our green moss over here. Place a green moss over here.
Okay. So the soil is not seen.
The soil is not seen, and it looks very natural.
Yes.
And it looks very natural.
Green moss, definitely. So this is the basic thing, how you organize your plant and put it over there.
Exactly.
Now, there are different styles of doing it. Sometimes they do it vertical, they do it inclined.
In bonsais, I always say it is no rocket science. All the styles are for Mother Nature. Now, I will just explain few styles to you. Like the formal upright style is a plant which comes to your mind, a tree growing upright straight without any influence of Mother Nature. So that's called as a formal upright style. A plant having a little twist, whatever the reason could be an informal upright style. The third style could be a cascade style, which what we are trying to do is we are just trying to replicate a waterfall. A waterfall, the water coming down from the rocks and all. So is your cascade style, your semi-cascade style. The next style what you have is an umbrella style. You just have the canopy of the tree. It's called as your umbrella style.
So like your rain trees and all come just naturally.
Then the next one you can call as a vaping style, which is the bottle brush. And bottle brush, it's a very normal plant.
So you don't have to hanging down.
You don't have to do anything much. If you just get a good plant and put it into a bonsai pot, it becomes. Then next is a broom style, which is a tuja tree. Your tuja tree again,
very easy to
grow. So you don't have to do anything much. So just keep your eyes open. See the way plants are reacting. The way so you have the cascade, semi-cascade. Then you have a single trunk, multi-trunk in nature. So all the styles are very, very simple. Exception of a Bunjin style, which is very advanced, with 3/4 of the tree there are no branches, and then just 1/4 you have a little branch which is giving a little canopy. You call that the bunjin. That's the highest form. But otherwise it's very simple. Like
Bunjin is basically for those who are reaching
reaching,
expert style.
exactly.
Style,
Those are the ones who are reaching a little
Okay.
towards the higher end of your bonsai.
There's also a windswept style.
Windswept style, cascade style, many.
Which looks like something that you'd see on Miramar Beach or somewhere, where the trees are blown one direction.
Miguel, you have good knowledge. The
yeah.
windswept style, again, it's just a style that shows that all the branches have gone towards one side. It's like the mother nature, the wind velocity has pushed all the branches. So it's just all the styles that are very, very simple in mother nature, which we try to replicate and put it into a pot and keep it at home.
Okay. Now, when we are actually doing a bonsai, what do we look at the plant to see whether it's suitable for bonsai or not for bonsai?
So I told you the first 5 points, like it should have a long life, small leaves, good rootage, many branches, and withstand wiring and pruning. So these are the 5 points. So once you have these 5 points in mind, then you go to see, it has to be very interesting. Like, I always say, when you choose a bonsai plant, see, bonsai is an art form that takes like 30, 40, 50 years. Choose a thickness of a plant of around 2-3 pencils tied together.
Okay.
Because then you're sort of jump starting it. Another thing I always say is, if you're doing a fruit bearing trees, always go for a grafted.
Okay.
Like at home, I have the mango tree, I have a pyri mango, I've got chiku, I've got fig, I've got pomegranate, I've got custard apple.
So you have a grafted plant, then you can hope to get fruits also.
I get fruits also, but I always keep a limited fruits because my plant is more precious than the main tree. So like when pyri mango comes, around 10-12 mangoes come, so we have 4 family members, so we just keep 4 mangoes. So even chikus are the maximum 8 to 9 chikus, figs 3 to 4 figs. Okay. Custard apple maybe 1 to 2. So I always tell, if you really want a huge produce, put it in the ground because you're very interested in.
Don't get it from your bonsai.
Don't get it from bonsai because your each and every branch is very precious to you.
Very precious.
Yes.
So Daniel, you have chosen this plant. Can you tell us a little bit why you have chosen this particular plant and how you could train it to become a bonsai?
Okay. In the very first place, I told you all that plant with small leaves. Okay, so you can see that this plant is having small leaves, whatever, many branches. Okay, rootage we'll not able to see because we'll have to expose the soil down. Okay, so this is a Legistomia, which is a beautiful garden plant, including becomes a very interesting bonsai plant. Now you might wonder how this plant is turning around. This is called as a turntable. Okay, this is called as a turntable. So basically, when we work on a bonsai plant, we have placed a plant on the turntable so we can see the plant from all directions.
So this turntable is something that people have on their dining table.
Dining tables or even your cake makers.
Cake makers.
Cake makers. Yes, so I always tell some people, once the cake maker finds her turntable not functional and she wants to discuss it, just grab it.
Grab it and
because
do your bonsai.
Make it your bonsai table, whatever. So this is a turntable. So once you get your plant, you have freeze on your plant, whatever, the small leaves, many branches, whatever, is all fine. Okay. Now, I told you about there are different styles in bonsais. So remember, I said we have twin trunk, we have multi-trunk styles. So if you see over here, these are three trunks. Okay, this is the first branch. The first branch, the second branch. So this is going to be we can convert this into a multi-trunk style, more than three trunks. So this is a multi-trunk style. The next important criteria is when you're choosing a bonsai plant, you have to see the front of the tree and back of the tree is very, very compulsory because you can't train a tree without knowing which is from where the exhibit is going to be displayed for a bonsai exhibition. So it's very, very critical that you should understand with the face of tree. So now I'll just keep turning the tree for you all to see which is the front of the tree, and then I will freeze and tell you which is the front side of the tree. Okay. So according to me, this is the most beautiful side because you have a lovely branch going over here. You have one branch coming here and you have a central branch. So this is going to be basically the front of the tree. Remember, in bonsais, whatever, we always keep one small weed. Okay, this is a simple trick, The trick is what happens in case for some reason you water less a tree. First, the weed is going to get a damage. It's going to start wilting. So that gives you enough time to save your main tree.
Okay.
So I always tell everybody, let 1 or 2 weeds be in your bonsai pot, exception when you're going for a display or something, you weed it out because these are sort of like indicators, like they're biological indicators. So these are very fragile compared to your bonsai tree. So the moment the water is less, this tree will start, going down, drooping down. So soon you go and you start watering it. So I always keep 1 or 2 weeds in my pot. Okay. So this is a Legistomia species, gets a beautiful pink flowers. So we're going to convert this into a multi-trunk style. So what I'm going to do is now all the extra branches, I'm just going to clean up the tree, which I feel I don't require. Remember, in bonsai, there's nothing called as crisscrossing. Okay, always open it up. Each and every branch has to be open. Like one of the most famous bonsai artists in the world, Mr. John Naka, says your bonsai tree should have branches where the bird can fly into your tree and fly out of your tree. So he's saying that's the way a bonsai tree has to be so open.
Okay, so a branch like this would go.
Yeah, because this branch would go, because again it's touching this branch, because each and every branch has to speak for himself. So what I'm right now doing is I'm just cleaning up the tree. All the small stubs which are not required, I'm removing it out. So this branch basically over here was coming close. I removed this out. This branch not required. This branch not required. This branch not required. Okay. So later on we can start. Remember, in the tree, it has to look like a real tree. It should have many branches. So eventually, slowly, I'm going to wire this and I'm going to create a branch over here behind, because a branch behind gives me depth. Okay. So now this is the front side of my tree. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now, this for the scale, this tree is too tall, and if you're going to allow this tree to grow tall, it's never going to throw out branches over here. So how I would look at the total height of the tree would be somewhere over here. The total height of the tree, you get me?
Okay.
The total height of the tree would here, and then you have all the branches. So until now, we're going to do for this tree is clip and grow. So you're going to cut a branch, and in a month's time, if you go to see, all new branches will shoot out, and it will start filling up like a beautiful pad over here. So I'm just showing you all how I'm cutting it. And remember, closer to the tree, longer the branches. As you're going towards the apex or the outwards of the tree, the branches are smaller, just like in Mother Nature. Okay. So now even this branch is coming inside. So I'm going to restrict this. I'm just going to clip it off. So from in between the leaves, there is something called nodes and internodes. So when you cut, so you exactly where you want a new shoot to come out, you just cut back at that particular place. And from the node, a new shoot will come out. That will fill up your space. So now, as you see, now this branch is overlapping on this branch. So very gently, we can remove this branch. So now if you see, this emphasis on this branch is growing up straight. It's not crisscrossing. Now, if you look at this branch, does not look very nice, because there are two branches almost parallel to each other. Okay. Yeah. So now you decide which branch you want to keep. You start looking at tree and realize which branch. Now, according to me, I think this branch should go out, because it's hiding this branch. Okay. So we knock off this branch. Now you see what I was saying about the concave cutters. You see what a clean cut this concave cutter is going to do. It's going to remove it from the main branch, and it's not going to leave a single scar. So you see what a concave cutter does. It gives you a very clean flush. It does not leave that stub like a normal
cicada.
Normal cicada would do. So this is the time when it comes more refined. Okay. So now we in a tree can't have 2-3 canopies. So it's nice to have an interest. It's nice to have an interest. You have one branch over here, you have a second branch over here, and you have your third branch over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to knock off this branch, and then automatically you're going to see how we have created the different. So we have one branch here. Again, we have the higher cut, and intermediate, we have this branch. So we're going to knock off this branch. See? Now I've kept a little portion over here because of anything called as a dieback. If there's a little drying up or something, so it takes time. So this I'm not cutting it exactly at this junction. So little precaution is always good. I'm leaving a little space in case there's a dieback. And then once this branch starts to grow, I'm going to take my scissors and then I'm going to flush it, and back again you're going to see this beautiful taper in the tree.
So you will use the concave cutter.
I will use a concave cutter again. Okay.
Yes, okay.
So you see now I've got this branch in place. I've got this branch in place coming up over here. This branch we are going to take behind. This branch again we are going to take behind over here. And now let's just work on the apex or the crown or the canopy. You can call it whatever you wish. So now if you see, we have basically, we have the first branch, we have the second branch, and we have the crown. Now eventually later on, I might try to bring this or move this aside. This branch, because this branch is basically coming too much in your face.
Face, yes.
Okay, so now I'll just wire one branch and show you. I'll wire
Yeah.
this branch and show you how I can bring this branch behind. And once this branch after 2-3 months takes shape, you can iron mine it. You don't have to keep it onto the tree, because if you keep it onto the tree for a longer period of time, it might start eating up into the tree. So how you know how much wire to cut? So approximately you take the length and you take a little extra and you cut that much of wire. So you take the wire
On the main trunk.
on the
first.
main trunk, take it a little low because you require grip.
Okay, so basically you are taking it spiral
Yeah,
around.
and remember, it looks a little simple, but the loops have to be in uniform. It can't be far and closer by. It has to be in uniform. Then towards the end, always either you cut it off, this end tip you can cut it off, or you can just bend it in and keep it for the moment till if you feel that you want to train the tree. Now if you see this over here, you can do whatever. You can take this branch up, you can take this branch down, you take it at the side. So this is the more refined out of. So then always remember to give it a little interest. Another thing, when you're doing wiring, always remember 1 day prior, don't water your tree. Because if you water the tree, there's a lot of saps in the tree trunk and a tendency to snap. So always keep it dry the prior day. Once you, it's just like when you're going in for a surgery.
So yeah, one day,
Yeah.
1 day before you're on diet.
On diet or whatever.
Yeah.
So the same way in your tree, 1 day prior, you keep it on a little lighter note.
Okay.
Now you see this branch, we have got this branch behind. Now same way, now if you see this branch, it is a very ugly branch. Now we'll create a little interest in this branch.
So you're using wire basically to help keep it in place.
And always remember, you have to check the thickness of your branch. You can't use a thick wire on a fine branch.
Yes.
So it's very, very essential. It will come to you automatically depending on the thickness of your branch and the wire. You choose your wire.
So you get bonsai wires in different
Grades, in different grades. There are around
grades.
8-9 grades in bonsai wire.
Wires. Okay.
Okay, so I've wired it. Now back again, you can create a little interest. Now what I'm trying to do is, if you look at this, I said this is my front of my tree. Here it is a little bare.
Yeah.
You see here it is. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to bring this branch
To cover that gap.
to cover that gap. Exactly.
Okay.
So aesthetically, when you look at it, it has to look nice. Okay. Now let's create a little interest in this branch. It just looks very straight. It doesn't look very aesthetically nice. So let's create a little interest in this branch. Then in case for some reason you're running out of wire, what you can do basically, you can just double up the wire. In case you don't have the wire and you have the thick wire. So if you want, you can just double it up. So I'll just show you how you double it up. Not required, but since if you all don't have the wire, I'm just doing it. Get the wires together. And remember, after every 3 months or something, just to check on the plant. Because if it cuts into your tree, if it cuts into your trunk, then you leave a very ugly scar. And it takes, and it takes a very long time to back again to fill up into and get that flow. So if you see, we have created interest in this branch. This branch was a very straight branch. Okay. Since this wire is a little extra, we can just knock off the wire. Because I don't think we'll go more further than this. I think at this place we will do that. We will restrict it. Yeah. And now once you have got the basic shape of your tree, and now basically if you go to see what it is, it's like a triangle.
Yeah. I think we can show the viewers the front of the plant. Yeah.
So this is the front of the tree. Okay. Another technique, if you want what to do, remember when you have a little wire, just take a little wire and stick it into the front of the tree. So you'll have a lot of extra wires. So basically for us to understand, so when we have trained the tree, in case for some reason anything happens and all, you should know, or you forget so you take a little wire and you stick it into the pot.
And you remember that is your front.
And this becomes your front. So even if anytime your Mali moves your tree or something, you know in what perception or how you have trained the tree.
Yeah.
So now this tree can go anywhere, but when you see this mark into your pot, you know that you have trained your tree from this angle. So that's the front side of your tree.
Yeah. Really looks beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel, for coming and showing our viewers how actually a bonsai can be started. And I'm sure they'll want to hear more of you about how to do bonsai as it progresses. And we would be happy to have you on this show again sometime.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.